You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 107, featuring dirt track racing family, the Ondeks.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, meet the Ondek family. Dirt track racing has been a part of Matt and Nikki's household, marriage, and business for many racing seasons. As owners of Carlisle branch of Midas Mufflers, the Ondeks are immersed in the automotive industry. When the weekends arrive, it's time for them to go racing. Matt, with years of dirt oval track experience, coupled with the support of his wife Nikki, continues to run their 2 race cars around the greater central Pennsylvania tracks. Now, with teenage son Dylan reaching driving age and his own talents as an e-racer, the Ondek Racing Team may soon have an additional driver. When it comes to their Sportsman Class Sprint Car, it's all hands on decks. So, let's get revved up!
Hello and welcome back, Cubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. This is episode 107, and we will be speaking with Carlisle local dirt oval race car driver Matt Ondek, his wife and crew chief Nikki, along with her son Dylan, who could truly have a promising racing career ahead of him. So, would like to thank my entire CFC team for their hard work, their support, long hours. A really special thanks goes out to the entire team at Porsche Mechanicsburg and to Mike Garland and our friends at Carlisle Events. Let's not forget that you guys, the listeners and fans of the Cars of Carlisle Network, are why we do this podcast. Thank you for coming back week after week, downloading, listening, following, supporting, sharing with friends and family, and rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. Truly, the more people that we have that support us, the more we can do, the more we can bring to you in the way of fun and informative car content. We do need your help, and thank you for supporting us, being there week after week, and just thanks for riding along with us. Before we cruise down East High Street here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, to the Ondeks business, which is the Midas shop in town, I wanted to remind you of the Courage virtual car show. That Courage acronym stands for Car Owners United Rallying Against Global Epidemics. It has launched. I, like you, am so ready to get out there in the sun, walking around cars at the local shows, Carlisle Events shows, wherever you may go. I know we're all ready for that. But while we are still coming out of the sheltering, we have a fun diversion for you. Go out, if you will, to carsofcarlisle.com and check on the virtual car show. You can click on the license plate in the upper left corner of the splash page, then go to the ignition switch, and it'll take you right to the virtual show field. But through this, with a small donation, every single dollar raised in the registration entries and the donations themselves will go directly to the charity Feeding America. And it's our way of helping those that are less fortunate. You can register your car or cars easily online for judging the day of the event, which is going to be Saturday, June 13th at 9 a.m. And we are working with other committee members and businesses right now to solidify celebrity judges, prizes, all kinds of online cars for you to view, etc. So please help support others while at the same time enjoying what we all love, and that's cars. Cars, trucks, vehicles, four-wheeled objects, you name it. So it's time now for this week's trivia question. So here we go. As Matt and Nikki Ondek own the Midas store in Carlisle, this week's question will be automotive service shop related in the sense of this multiple choice question. In what year was Midas Incorporated founded? A, 1949, B, 1946, C, 1961, D, 1974. That answer coming up at the end of the show. So let's go talk to Matt, Nikki, and Dylan.
Well, that's interesting. He beats my butt all the time, so he does. Still learning. Of course, I don't get to practice as much as what he does.
Well, and I think you've Nikki may have mentioned that you may remind him that it's a little different when you're actually in the car out among traffic.
Oh, yeah. I keep telling him every time he's going to be 16 here on Sunday, so he can get to the track now, so I don't want to laugh him at all when he gets on the track. That's what I keep telling him.
Understood. Yeah, we sometimes have to experience things firsthand to realize what's involved, and certainly driving virtually can be a lot different than the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot different.
Well, how did you get into racing? You want to talk a little bit about that, and because one of the things I always like to talk about in the podcast is how people knew that they were car fans, that they had racing oil and high octane pumping through their veins. When is it that you felt like, I mean, obviously you own the Midas auto shop in Carlisle here. So your livelihood is obviously automotive based. You have the two Ondek Racing Teams. But if we go back, when did you know that you were a car person, Matt? And then Nikki, maybe talk a little about how you got into all of that. And then certainly, Dylan was raised in that environment. So maybe kind of go all the way back and go forward again.
All right, so my starting racing, I started going to Silver Spring Speedway in 1979. My dad took me in my first race.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it from there at Silver Spring Speedway. Started going there every Saturday night when I was a kid, and just basically grew up down there.
Mm-hmm.
And
how old were we when you first raced? How old a guy were you? How young?
When I first started racing?
Or when you went to Silver Spring?
Well, I thought I would have been, 5 years old.
Okay, all right.
I started going there when I was 5, and I just fell in love with it. And we were going there every Saturday night when we were kids up through. And if I couldn't make a race, man, it was the end of the world.
I bet. And that was a great track until it now turned into a giant shopping center. But yeah, I remember going there myself during my high school years.
Yeah, I would love to see the place now if it wouldn't have been tore down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But my dad worked with Bill Heckert, the late Bill Heckert, back in the day, out of PPG. And then he sort of got me on the crew with Bill, and I was working with Bill, and I raced go-karts and stuff prior. My wife just reminded me I raced go-karts and stuff like that at Hunterstown Speedway and up at Shippensburg.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I got into Sportsman, helping Bill Heckert, and then my wife actually helped on the crew too, and that's how her and I met. And I guess one thing led to another. We ended up buying a race car from the late Harold Boyd back in the day.
Yeah, what year was that, you think, when you first became a car owner or team owner?
1996.
Okay, all right.
I raced from 96 till the closing of Silver Spring Speedway in, what was that, 2006?
Okay. Now, obviously when you own the car and you're behind the wheel of it, do you feel that it's a little bit different when you think each time I got to pay to replace that part? I've got to, I'm sure you look at it a little differently when you wear both hats, correct?
I like to be very conservative. I'm the type of guy that if my car's not right, I will give anybody the position because I don't want to tear my equipment up or anybody else's equipment up. I'm just not that person. You know what I mean?
I do.
I like saving equipment if I can. Unlike my boy and I racing, all he has to do is hit a reset button and off we go.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk definitely iRacing here a little bit further into the interview, but I know that I'm an Xbox One racer, and it is very different. You don't have the it's not as critical when you're doing 120 and you see that wall coming up because you're not actually in that reality, but it is very different, as you said, when you're
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, good. What? So continue on. Okay, so you raced right up to the end of Silver Spring. Once that track closed, what was the next era? What happened with your racing team?
Well, then we ended up going to Williams Grove Speedway after the Silver Springs closed up. We went to Williams Grove and we started the season there. And after many years of trying to become a family and have a little one, and we finally had well, Dylan, I guess he was here while we were at Silver Spring, but we had our second kid. And then at that point in time, we decided we needed to, we were offered the business at Midas. I started working at Midas in 1994.
Okay.
And we were there, and the owner at the time, he offered me if I wanted to buy the shop. So that was in about, what year was that, 2004? 2006.
Okay.
So we figured we were going to put a hold on racing and purchase the shop and raise two kids. Yeah, Nikki's back there saying, and raise two kids. She's reminding me here. And, then after, getting the shop under our control and sort of getting our life going there, after 10 years off from racing, we got back into racing.
Wow.
About 4 years ago now.
Okay.
Tried getting Dylan into go-kart for a while, which he was doing go-karting for a while, and he was in a bad wreck one night and broke his wrist and all that. And
oh, boy.
a week after we went back to go-kart racing, after coming back from that wreck, he actually won a race. And then after that, he was done. You could tell on the track he didn't have the drive anymore. It was like scaring him because of that wreck. And I said, dude, if you don't want to do it anymore, Dad will get back into a car, and that's what I did.
That's cool. That's very cool. Now, is he with you now?
Yeah, he's sitting here.
Well, Dylan, what are your aspirations? And I know we'll talk here in a little bit about iRacing, but are you thinking about getting back into a physical car?
Maybe in the future. Maybe. I don't really know yet.
Okay.
Still thinking.
No, I get it. And Nikki, for you, if you end up having both a husband and a son out on the track, that's got to be a little bit of a nail biter, correct?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I actually told the promoter over at BAPS the one night, I'm like, if he ever gets in a car, features fine, but do not ever put them in the same heat together. He laughed at me.
Well, and you probably were serious about the request. I mean, you got a lot riding on that, for sure.
I do. Yeah, when they're in a feature, it's okay, but I really don't want them in the same heat race together.
No, I get it. Well, and you see how things can get at, virtual racing. It gets a little competitive at times. So when?
Oh my, yes.
Now, when did racing enter your world, Nikki?
I want to say 92, maybe.
All right.
91 or 92. I want to say 1992 on Wild Bill Peckert's crew.
Okay. So then, did you get the bug from that point forward?
Yeah. I think it was an every weekend thing. Loved it. Loved Wild Bill. Mm-hmm. He was always a hoot to be around and be with. And yeah, it was sort of because I really honestly didn't go to a whole lot of races when I was younger.
Okay, gotcha.
My parents were into NASCAR. So I mean, I had done Dover and stuff like that with my parents, but not a lot of local stuff.
Right.
So that when I got into that, it was a whole new ball game. I learned quick, but it was fun. And I've always loved the sportsman division, and sprints are fun, and yeah, it's fun. And now once the husband started, that's when it got a little scary at point.
Of course.
Yeah. Nerve-wracking, but it's always fun. The racing family is a blast, and they're a whole other family, truly.
I'm sure. And how is it now that we're all going through this, the pandemic situation, everything? What's happening with the race season? What kind of communication are the three of you having with the race community?
On Facebook all the time. Okay. We're interconnected via that. Phone calls, we're even, there's people from the track that I call. One of my best friends is the 50-50 lady over at BAPS, Donna. So, we talk on the daily and Facebook messaging, all different stuff. But
Good.
yeah.
Good. What's happening with the season itself? When is it? Is it slated to reopen in a certain date? Are they waiting to see what happens with the state and everything else?
Yeah, they're waiting to see, I guess, to get the green to be able to open up.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I do know they at BAPS anyway got to go ahead to do, like, they can rent a track out to drivers.
Okay.
They just got that go ahead the other day.
Okay, good.
So they can do that, but not race. So yeah, we're sort of waiting to see if and when we're going to start to race. But I think they're waiting for the state at this point to let them know when they're able to, actually be able to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, what have you found to be the, and this question is really for all three of you, but particularly Matt and Nikki, what is one of the best things about getting back into the racing world from 4 or 5 years ago that you're finding with the community and just your extended family, if you will?
I'll answer that.
Oh, you're going to answer that one? Okay.
Bonding with my family.
Okay. Good.
I think it brings us all a lot closer. My kids absolutely love it.
And our kids also have a lot of friends that from school that actually, like, my daughter has some friends that go to the racetrack and they hang out. My son actually has some of the kids that he drove go-karts with at Hunterstown actually moved up to the Legends division.
Okay.
So when they're over there, he goes back to their pits and hangs out. We get to see those families that we got very close to because the kids were all little.
They grew up together.
Then.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just fun and it's all family and it's, I don't know. It's just it's a different feeling, I think, when you're at the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a fan or whether you're in the pits as, an owner, driver, or whatever, it's just fun and it's personable and, for the most part, everybody's happy and,
Right.
unless there's some wreck or something going on, but otherwise it's just that great environment.
I mean, I'm sure everybody looks forward to seeing each other the following week and weekend and all of that.
Absolutely.
And I what I've gathered when I've gone to dirt track racing is, too, it more so than most any other motorsport, if somebody needs a jack or somebody needs a rim or somebody needs whatever it might be and they have an extra in the trailer, people they share and help each other without... I mean, obviously, when you're on the track and you're wheel-to-wheel, competition full on. But if it's anything in the pits or what have you, there seems to be an incredible amount of camaraderie that I've seen in dirt track racing that you don't really see in any other motorsport.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can actually recall one night that I forgot the gloves. I forgot the racing gloves. That was not a good night. I left them here at the house.
Oh.
So I ran over to Frankie Herr, actually, and I said, "Hey, Frank, do you have any other gloves?" And he did. So he handed them to me, and and they actually a brand new pair of gloves. So we ended up in the long run just buying them from him because we needed an extra set anyway. But he was more than happy regardless. He's like, "Here, go,"
Yeah. That's good, and that's what it's about. Because at the end of the day, that's where memories are based on the fact of helping one another out. And we may win, or everybody may remember their best feature or whatever, or best win, what have you. But I think it's probably just the friends you've made over the years and the fact that you can count on them in a pinch. And just like you explained.
Absolutely.
Well, Dylan, if you're nearby, what growing up at the track, essentially, any standout memories for you, hanging out with your friends that race or just other families?
Yeah, just pretty much just hanging out with friends and getting to know a lot of people. Racing with them, just having fun.
What role do you have in the pits on race weekend?
Fuel, tires, basically everything, just helping out.
Okay, whatever needs done. And Nikki, would that be the same for you on race night?
For the most part, I mean, I help out wherever they yell at me and tell me to go. But for me, I'm more safety equipment.
Okay.
So I will buckle him in the car and get his helmet and tear offs ready and make sure everything, equipment wise is ready to go.
Good. Oh, that's just as important. And the fact that you're right there at the last point that you get ready to roll out. So that's probably.
Oh yeah, every time.
No, that's very good. Well, tell us a little bit about the iRacing side of things. And I've seen the autoyes.com where it's had your business there, and there's some photos of I think there's a photo of Dylan in the I guess you call it like the virtual racing seat and everything.
His racing seat and steering wheel and yeah.
And I know that's not cheap. I've priced that out for my Xbox, and you can spend as much as you want to spend on those kinds of things for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So talk a little. Was it Dylan? Were you the first one to get into it, and then you egged your dad into it, or how did the iRacing all start?
One of my old racing friends, we heard about it from one of them, and I really wanted to get onto it, so asked Mother to give me a subscription for it, and got that. Then I started out with the Xbox controller racing, and then they got me the steering wheel and pedals and the seat, which made it a lot easier to drive.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's a little more natural than holding that controller in the palms of your hand.
Yeah.
So then, how long have you been doing the iRacing?
2 years?
Yeah, probably about 2 years, yeah.
Okay. So then when did you pull Dad into the scene?
I'm going to say off and on about a year and a half when he's had the time, which has not been a lot. So every once in a while he would get on. Now recently, he's had a little bit extra time with all this stuff going on. So he's pulled him into it a little bit more.
That's understandable. So Matt, I know we talked a little bit at the beginning and before we got on air. I'm sure everybody can imagine there's a lot different. You don't have the G-forces, you don't have the dirt, you don't have things smacking you in the helmet. Probably a very different world sitting in the privacy of your home versus out there on the track.
Absolutely, a lot different. I'm used to the super sportsman division. We don't have power steering where we're at, and I keep telling Dylan that's the problem because the iRacing is power steering, and our division doesn't have power steering. So I keep trying to tell him that's the problem. Why I'm no good at it because I'm used to manual steering. But yeah, it's a lot different. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it.
Well, no amount of artificial feedback is going to equate to whenever you get into a rut or you get high side of the track and you've got to absolutely wrestle control back. If you get that off the groove or whatever it might be, there's no comparison to that.
Just trying to use your foot for the braking and all that stuff. I think on iRacing, you're just flooring it the whole daggone time and hoping for the best. Either that or you're just not afraid if you wreck it, you don't have to spend money on it.
That's true. Yeah, reset button always helps.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fun. What would you like to share about? I know you said obviously you guys took over the business and everything, but how are things right now in spite of everything with COVID-19? And has business stayed pretty strong? What's been happening for you all?
I would say in the month of April, we really, really slowed up in the month of April with everything going on, which gave us some time to clean the shop up.
I know Nikki was saying it's time to organize around there.
Yeah, we got organized and cleaned up a little bit, but now all of a sudden we are right back to normal. I think people are just to the point of, we're just gonna move on with our life and we're gonna keep going at it. And we're right back to where we were, and everything's been going really good. We're back busy as heck again.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's very important. Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
I know you guys are hardworking, and if you're not at the shop, you're probably getting ready for the track. Is you have just one as the backup car, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a backup car that might be available for the young boy sitting here beside me if if he wants to come off the iRacing deal and get out on the track.
All right. Well, that's not a bad thing to grow into.
All right.
At all. Well, I gotta really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy evening to talk with everyone. The Cars of Carlisle podcast is really about the people, the community, and just as you shared about the racing community, the people come first, and then the machinery is what brings us all together. And I know that this interview is going to be heard all over. In fact, I just did some review of the analytics. We're being downloaded in 48 of the states and 7 Canadian provinces, and actually been downloaded in 44 countries around the world. So I'll give each of you kind of a final say, knowing that you're talking to people, an audience that goes well beyond Cumberland County, well beyond Pennsylvania and the Mid-Atlantic. Some may not know much about dirt track racing, so let's start with...
Ladies first, that's right. Dirt track racing is fun, family-friendly. I think that's the biggest thing about dirt track racing is the whole family can go. It's something they can sit and enjoy together. And for our family, especially, like, we can put the technology down and go and enjoy it with like-minded people, and it's just fun. There's competition, but it's fun.
Good. And it's wholesome. I mean, just the fact that you're all together. Good comment on that. I appreciate that, Nikki.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dylan, how about you? You've spent your life growing up in it. What would you like people that maybe have never been to a dirt track race to know about it?
It's pretty much just for everybody to do. It's a fun thing. Everybody can get together, friends, family, and you can do basically anything. Have fun with drivers. Like, they come out, you can meet them, nights and stuff where you can talk to them, get autographs and stuff. It's just basically for everybody.
That's good. And I think you hit something really important there. And in the races I've been to your mom's point, I've been in the stands where you see babies that can't be more than 3 or 4 months old have these little miniature headphone or ear protection on. You see people in their 90s, 80s, and 90s that are there. And everyone... all generations come together, and to your point, Dylan, about the accessibility. It's not often that you can walk a pit row and go up and shake your hero's hand. Well, in addition to your dad being your hero, that is. But the fact that you can go and talk with these drivers and they make the time for you, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it's a really fun sport for everybody.
That's awesome. All right, your dad has the final say. He is the pilot behind. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Well, best thing I could say, it's just a thrill from start to finish. You know, from getting to the track to the speed, meeting fans. You know, coordinating sponsorship, which my wife does, which I never got a really chance to say. You know, Dry Dean came on board with us, and just getting to know all the guys. You know, because now with that, we've got to know a lot of other companies. I don't want to say that. Gotten to know a lot of other companies, and Nikki does a lot of the advertising and stuff, and just getting to know a lot more people.
Sure, right.
And the family atmosphere is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Other businesses, you know, when it seems like at a racetrack, when you get into racing, the drivers support other drivers' businesses. Fans support the businesses of everybody, and it's just a trickle down effect. Everybody scratches everybody's back, and they work together.
Yeah, that's pretty special. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you guys really summed it up very well, and I am a fan, and I do come out. And for those that haven't been and can get to a local track, encourage you to do so. If you are in this area, be sure to check out and support Ondek Racing and Midas Auto Service and Tires of Carlisle.
And stop by and give us a shout.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I want to say thank you to the Ondek family, and we'll call it a wrap. All right, we are back to Studio A. Thank you to Matt, Nikki, Dylan. Really appreciate your time and friendship, and I'm truly looking forward to following your 2020 race season. Certainly, as it gets up to full speed, pun intended. But as we approach this new normal with everyday life, and I know that a lot of motorsport racing now, they're actually racing, but no one's allowed in the stands, and everything is then streamed or broadcast. But looking forward to when we get back to the stands and to enjoy it in person. So let's give you that trivia answer. At the beginning of the show, I'd asked you, in what year was Midas Incorporated founded? The four choices were 1949, 1956, 1961, and 1974. Well, the answer is B, 1956. And with that, the company is currently headquartered out of Itasca, Illinois. It was founded on April 20th, 1956. So 1956 was the year. Founded by Nate H. Sherman. And the first shop opened in Macon, Georgia later that same year. And back then they were known as Midas Muffler, but as you're well aware, Midas Incorporated is a franchise. It's become one of the world's biggest automotive service providers, doing really everything. And they have over 2,000 stores globally. So until you can come back to hang with us next week, I will say to you, my friends, drive well, be well, and take care.